There is one simple exercise I believe every man over 60 should do daily, and it is not what most men expect when they hear the word exercise. It is not a gym routine, it does not require any equipment, and it takes less than 5 minutes. I am Dr. Christian Marvin, and after more than a decade working with men through exactly this stage of life, I have come to believe this one exercise does more for circulation, energy, and confidence in the body than almost anything else I could recommend, precisely because almost nobody over 60 is doing it, and almost nobody has ever explained to them why it matters. The exercise is the standing calf raise, done slowly and deliberately, for 2 to 3 minutes, once or twice a day. I know that sounds almost too simple to matter for something as significant as how a man feels in his body after 60, but let me walk you through the actual physiology, because once you understand what your calf muscles do for circulation specifically, you will understand exactly why this small, overlooked exercise carries so much weight. Your calf muscles are sometimes referred to by researchers as your second heart, and that description is not an exaggeration. Every time your calf muscle contracts, it squeezes the deep veins running through your lower leg, pushing blood back up toward your heart against gravity. This matters enormously because your heart alone was never designed to do that job efficiently on its own, particularly from the lowest points in your body. Your calf muscles are your body's built-in assist system for that return circulation, and when they are weak or underused, which becomes increasingly common as men age and become more sedentary, that return circulation becomes noticeably less efficient throughout your entire body, not just in your legs. Here is why this matters so specifically after 60. Muscle mass naturally declines with age, a process called sarcopenia, and the calf muscles are frequently among the first to lose meaningful strength because they are so rarely trained directly, even in men who otherwise stay reasonably active through walking or light activity. Walking uses your calves, but walking alone does not provide enough resistance to maintain their strength the way targeted exercise does, which means a man can walk regularly for years and still experience a gradual decline in calf strength and, along with it, a gradual decline in how efficiently his circulation functions on the return trip back to his heart. I want to explain how this connects to something many of my patients are hesitant to bring up directly. The smallest, most sensitive blood vessels in a man's body, including those involved in an erection, depend on efficient circulation throughout the entire cardiovascular system, not just healthy blood flow going out from the heart, but also efficient return flow coming back. When return circulation from your lower body becomes sluggish due to weak calf muscles, prolonged sitting, or both, it places additional demand on your entire circulatory system, and those small sensitive vessels are very often among the first places a man notices the effects, long before anything shows up on a standard checkup. Let me tell you about a patient, a retired mechanic named Frank, 64 years old, who came to me concerned about circulation issues in his legs, some mild swelling by the end of the day, and a heaviness he had started to notice on longer walks. When I examined him, his calf strength was noticeably below where I would expect for a man of his activity level, despite regular walking. We started him on standing calf raises, nothing complicated, holding onto a countertop for balance, rising slowly onto his toes and lowering slowly back down for about 3 minutes twice a day. Within a month, the evening swelling in his legs had noticeably improved, and a few weeks after that, during a follow-up conversation, he mentioned that his energy and his performance more broadly had improved as well. I want to be clear that a single exercise is not a cure for every man's concerns. And if you have persistent issues, please talk to your doctor because there may be something specific worth investigating directly. But in my experience, weak calf strength and the sluggish circulation that comes with it is one of the most underrated, overlooked factors I see in men over 60, and it is remarkably simple to address once you know to look for it. I want to walk you through exactly how to do this exercise correctly, because the details genuinely matter for getting the circulatory benefit, not just a light stretch. Stand near a wall or a countertop for balance. Slowly rise up onto the balls of your feet as high as comfortably possible. Pause for a full second at the top, then lower slowly back down, taking about 3 seconds on the way down rather than simply dropping your heels. That slow, controlled lowering phase is what builds real strength in the muscle, far more than a quick, bouncy repetition. Aim for 2 to 3 sets of 15 to 20 repetitions, once or twice daily. You should feel a genuine, deep fatigue in your calves by the end of each set. If you do not feel that fatigue, you are likely moving too quickly or not rising high enough on each repetition. I also want to address why doing this daily matters more than doing it occasionally. Circulation is not a one-time fix. It is a system that responds to consistent, repeated signals over time. A single session of calf raises will not meaningfully change your baseline circulation, but 2 to 3 minutes, performed daily, sends a consistent signal to that muscle to stay strong and stay engaged in its role as your body's secondary circulatory pump. This is precisely why I recommend it as a daily habit, rather than something reserved for a gym day 2 or 3 times a week. The consistency is what produces the result, not the intensity of any single session. I want to mention something else that surprises many of my patients when I explain it. This exercise also directly benefits balance and fall prevention, which becomes an increasingly important consideration for men over 60. Strong calf muscles are essential for stabilizing your ankle and controlling your body's position when you step, turn, or catch yourself after a stumble. A man with weak, underused calf muscles is not only dealing with less efficient circulation, he is also carrying a meaningfully higher fall risk than a man whose calves remain strong through regular targeted use. This single exercise, in other words, is working on two fronts simultaneously: circulation and stability, both of which matter enormously as you move through your 60s and beyond. I want to leave you with something I tell every patient who feels like his body has quietly been slipping without any single obvious cause. Look at the muscles you have stopped training, not the ones you are still using. Most men over 60 who stay reasonably active are still moving their larger muscle groups through walking or daily activity, but the calves, precisely because they work quietly in the background, are often the first to be neglected. 2 to 3 minutes a day, slow and deliberate, is a small enough commitment that there is no real excuse not to start. And in my experience treating men through exactly this stage of life, it is one of the most reliably effective, most overlooked habits a man can adopt. I want to go a bit deeper into why this specific muscle group matters more than most men realize, because understanding the mechanism tends to be what actually convinces men to stick with something this simple. Deep within your lower leg runs a network of veins responsible for carrying deoxygenated blood back up to your heart, working against gravity every single second of the day. Unlike your arteries, which have your heart's direct pumping pressure behind them, these deep veins rely heavily on surrounding muscle contraction to keep blood moving efficiently upward. This is sometimes called the skeletal muscle pump, and your calves are by far the largest and most important contributor to it in your lower body. When that pump is weak, blood has a tendency to pool lower in your legs, particularly after long periods of sitting or standing still, which is part of why so many men notice ankle swelling by the end of a day spent mostly at a desk or in a car. Strengthening your calves directly strengthens that pump, and the effects are not limited to your legs. Because your entire circulatory system operates as one connected loop, improving return flow from your lower body reduces the overall workload on your heart and improves circulation efficiency throughout your entire body. I also want to mention a second patient because I think it illustrates how differently this can show up depending on a man's particular concerns. A patient named Walter, 67 years old, came to me primarily worried about afternoon fatigue rather than anything specifically related to circulation in the traditional sense he had heard about. When we added daily calf raises to his routine, his afternoon energy improved within a couple of weeks, which makes sense once you consider that inefficient circulation affects how well oxygen and nutrients are delivered throughout your entire body, including to your brain and your major muscle groups, not just to the extremities most men think about first. This exercise was never designed as a single-purpose fix. It supports circulation broadly, and because circulation touches nearly every system in your body, the benefits often show up in places a man does not initially expect. I want to be honest about something important here as well. This single exercise is not a replacement for a broader conversation with your doctor if you have persistent, significant concerns about circulation, swelling, or performance. What I'm offering you today is a simple, low-effort foundation, the kind of daily habit that supports everything else your doctor may recommend, rather than working against a body that has quietly stopped asking its own circulatory support system to do its job. If this video helped you, I would love to know a little about who is watching. Comment below and tell me what city you are watching from, or simply tell me your age. I read every one of them, and it helps me know who I am actually talking to when I sit down to make these videos. Subscribe for more of these honest conversations. Share this with a man in your life whose circulation could use this information. And never forget the truest thing I know after all these years. Your age does not decide your vitality. Your awareness does. This is Dr. Christian Marvin. Stay strong, stay present, and take care of yourself, all of yourself. And I will see you in the next one.